everyone, Screaming Geek Me here. I am Jerry the Geek. Today we're going to talk about the Twister 4K from Turbine. But before we get into that, if you like physical media, 4Ks, Blu-rays, DVDs, if you like home theater movies in general, check out my other videos on my channel because I do these reviews. I do unboxings, collection updates every month. I do different discussions. Check that stuff out. Hit the like button and subscribe. Turn your bell notifications on. And always feel free to comment below. Let me know what you think. So let's talk about Twister on 4K from Turbine. I did a review of the Warner Brothers version. And I got this because I had issues with that one. And I know I probably rubbed people the wrong way. Some of my thoughts I had some negative thoughts about that one. But I got the Turbine. I wanted to see if there was any differences. And we will get to that. I wanted to kind of still just kind of do a kind of a standard review, talk about the movie, the release itself, the video and audio. And then we'll get into the whole comparison, Warner Brothers versus Turbine, which one is better. So stick with me, we'll get to that. I mean, this movie came out in 1996. Got Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, Carrie Ells, Jamie Gertz, Philip Seymour Hoffman, which he's done a lot of stuff. I always remember him from Patch Adams. He's got more of a serious role, so this is kind of completely different for him. And of course, directed by Jean de Bont. Great classic disaster movie. I've owned this on several formats. I had the VHS, had Laserdisc, had the DVD, and I got Blu-ray. So now, have it on 4K. A couple of notes I always enjoy talking about when it comes to Twister is, in the beginning, when you first meet Bill and Joe, they're in their truck driving, and it's actually the camera shot is far away, and it comes in, onto the truck as it's driving along the road. And as it gets up close to the truck, you can actually see the reflection of the helicopter on the truck and even the windows. So I thought that's always fun. You can just pick it out. It's always been on every format. When we're up on a hill and a tornado's coming and the power lines start falling and the one comes crashing down on the back of the bed of the truck and knocks the Dorothy unit out, and it rips the tailgate off. And of course, then after that, the next shot is the tailgate's back on. That's always fun. You see that in a lot of movies where little things like that kind of the filmmakers miss, or sometimes they might do it on purpose. Who knows? But it's always fun to catch that stuff. Then later on, when the one tornado's coming after and they're backing up, and you see a tanker trailer coming out of the fireball and coming at them. And on the side of the tanker, it says Benthic Petroleum. And if you don't know, that's the name of the company the petroleum company from the Abyss. So I thought that's kind of funny that they threw that in there. I always like when movies, they throw little Easter eggs in there to see if people catch or not. Now the 4K here, this is a Turbine release, just came out at the beginning of December. It did come out from Warner Brothers earlier this year, but Turbine just released this as, a steel book, and also did a media book. But, the movie was filmed in 35 millimeter, finished with HDR10 and Dolby Vision. As far as I know, the Warner Brothers did not have Dolby Vision, and Turbine added that. But the 4K here is phenomenal. From the opening scenes, it has a really rich, deep texture to it. Has a deep contrast. The lighting is great. Details and textures really come off the screen. The facial details, the clothing, the different textures. Color saturation, very well done here. From his red truck, Joe's yellow truck, for the Storm Chaser. The skies, blue skies, the green fields. So incredible. Of course, this is where I had an issue with the Warner Brothers, is this, a couple of scenes I felt was a little too dark to where you lost a lot of detail, something you just did not see. In particular is when Joe, Bill, and Melissa are in a truck and are coming up upon a scene where up to the bridge with the water. And when the camera is inside the truck, it is really bad. I mean, you lose a lot of details in it. It's just so dark, especially Melissa in the background. But the rest of the shots look great. And then at the end, when their tornado hits the drive-in and everyone's hunkering down in the garage bay, down in that pit, that gets really dark. Again, you lose a lot. You just don't see a lot there. But the rest of the 4K looks phenomenal. It just those couple scenes I had issues with. And thinking about my first review from Warner Brothers, I was probably a little bit more harsh than I probably should have been. But just for me, some people out there tell me I'm full of shit. Maybe my settings are off, or the TV I need a better an OLED. And I always argue this when it comes to a 4K format. Sure, a high-end OLED TV would give me a better presentation or even a better player. But you got to think, you cannot sell people on a new format if you're required to buy high-end equipment. The average consumer should be able to go out and buy your regular 4K TV, a cheap player, and see the difference. If they're not getting that, what is the point of getting a new format? My TV is a TCL, middle of the line. I mean, it's a good set. It's a QLED. At the time I got my TV in 2020, I spent about $800 for it. At the time, it was, I did a lot of comparisons as far as, if I'm spending that kind of money, I want to know what I'm getting. So I read a lot of reviews and I looked at the different models, did comparisons to try to get the most bang for my buck. And the one I got was rated really high for the money. Again, it's not an OLED, not a $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 set. It is a great set. I just have issues with, this is the first, Twister was the first time I had an issue with movies actually from 35 millimeter. I've had issues with digital film movies sometimes being too dark. Again, I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, sorry, but yeah, other than those couple scenes, this is a great 4K. Now we'll roll into the Blu-ray comparison. This is where, the Blu-ray, this is miles ahead of the Blu-ray for the most part. The Blu-ray looks flat and pasty throughout most of it. With 4K adds that HDR, bumps up that contrast. Everything looks deeper, much richer. But that being said, the downside is that HDR adds, the contrast, can add too much darkness, which we just talked about. Looking at some of the, I actually borrowed some of the screenshots I used for the Warner Brothers review comparing the Blu-ray to 4K. You can see the differences. And this one particular scene was really, the garage scene where I thought it was too dark. If you look at the Blu-ray, it might be considered too bright, but at least I can see everything. And I flip over, the 4K. I had to use it's a different frame, but within the same few seconds. But you can see how dark it is. You can still see a little bit, but you can definitely tell a big difference between the two. So again, miles ahead of the Blu-ray, except for those couple scenes where the Blu-ray was actually better. Again, it'll boil down to the size of your TV screen. I've got a 65-inch, and if you got a smaller TV, it's even going to look worse. Now for the audio here, it has the same as the Warner Brothers, has a Dolby Atmos track. I don't have Atmos, I have 5.0, but it's a killer solid kick-ass track here. A lot of people will say you use this as a reference disc for audio, and it is very incredible. It really sucks you into the movie. Great use of surrounds, everything flying around you. just in your face. Clear dialogue through the most of it. There are some scenes where the dialogue is drowned out a little bit by the music score and the audio effects. Now, there is one particular scene that had an issue with the dialogue, and that was when after they're on the hill, and after the Dorothy unit gets smashed up, and all the sensors are all over the road, and they get out of the truck and just picking up the sensors off the road, and the two of them are talking. The dialogue levels fluctuate quite a bit right there. Gets loud and then dips down, and I just kind of a little bit annoying there. It doesn't have an even level. I know there's a lot going on in the scene with sound effects, but still, I think the dialogue should have been leveled out a little bit better. And of course, the music score was done by Mark Mancini. Phenomenal score. This is one, when the movie originally came out, it was hard to find a movie score. One time I bought the soundtrack, and all it was is the actual songs, the music, the song, soundtrack. It's like, I don't want that. I want the score. And it was hard to find. I had a special order it, and I finally found it. And then I love the music score. And some movies, Armageddon was the same way. They had a soundtrack with all the different songs used. And then they had a music score that done by Trevor Rabin. And I end up getting both because I wanted the score. I love the score. So phenomenal job with the audio here. Really not. My only issue was with the dialogue, a couple times, the levels, and plus being drowned out by everything else. Other than that, it is a kick-ass audio track. Now for the package, again, a steelbook. This is actually different than the US. Now it uses some of the original cover art. And open it up, it's just the whole scene there. And we'll pop the disc out and to see the inside artwork. I was glad to use something to be different from the US. And of course, with the US, I think they only got you didn't get a Blu-ray, where we did get a Blu-ray and a 4K here, different artwork. And Turbine, the Blu-rays are region-free. And of course, we had the little card on the back. But of course, being from a Turbine, it's all in German, so you're really not going to be able to read anything on here. Now for the bonus features, I can't exactly read it word for word because I don't know German. I think everything is the same as the original release. We've got new featurettes and storm chasers, making of. You got music videos, Human Being of Van Halen, US trailer. Time-wise, one of them is 15 minutes, 19 minutes, and a 29-minute featurette, a 14-minute one, an 8-minute one. And, of course, we have an audio commentary with Sean DeBont and a special effects supervisor, Stefan Meyer. Again, I think it's all the same as a US release. So that being said, going over all the details of this 4K from Turbine, now to get into what the video was, I was mainly wanting to do this video about. How does this stack up with the Warner Brothers release? And despite my expectations from Turbine, there is no real difference between the 4K here and the 4K from Warner Brothers. Even though Turbine added Dolby Vision, there is no difference. Here you can see this, the screenshots, showing the two different, and just there is no difference. I was hoping for it, Turbine to do a little bit different, but everything is the same. Even the audio, the dialogue fluctuations was the same here as a Warner Brothers. So this is, again, even with Dolby Vision, it's identical to the Warner Brothers release. So to wrap it up here, again, being there's no difference. if you're wondering, do not get this thinking it's going to be better than Warner Brothers. Like I was hoping there'd be some differences, but again, there was none. Yeah, the only difference is in the cosmetics, different steel book. Because I know with the history, last year with the black phone that came out, I bought the 4K from Turbine, and I pre-ordered it, and without even knowing anything about it, and I watched it. I loved it. I thought it looked phenomenal. Then I started seeing reviews online that how the 4K wasn't that great, and I'm like, what are you guys watching? I thought it looked phenomenal. And then I started seeing more reports that was the U.S. version, and for some reason, the Turbine version, they did a little bit different work to it, and it was actually better than the U.S. release. And there was one or two other titles I heard that Turbine was better than the U.S. So that's where I was hopeful that this one would have been better. But again, the 4K from Warner Brothers wasn't bad. Just those couple scenes I thought might have been better here, but not. So again, don't pick this up thinking it's going to be better than a U.S. release, any different. Only if you're a Twister fan, if you want different versions available, that's where I would recommend getting this. You have goes multiple versions, and they've got two from Turbine. Like again, this is a steel book, and also you can see here they actually did a media book. It looks pretty nice. If you're a media book collector, I would probably check this out. This is both these are available from Turbine. Amazon Germany does not have this. The steelbook here is running, converted to the U.S., it's about $29. And of course, you got to think about shipping there. Now, the media book, U.S., it's runs about $30.65. So you're looking at $31 plus shipping. Shipping will be cheaper if you're living overseas. So that pretty much does it from a look at the 4K of Twister from Turbine. Please comment below, let me know what you think. Did you get the US version? Have you thought about holding off, checking out the Turbine to see if it's any different? That's why I wanted to do this review, comparison, to let you know that there is no difference here, even with Dolby Vision. This is identical to the Warner Brothers release, so there's no reason to get this Turbine version unless you're a collector of the different versions. Or again, if you want the media book, that's pretty cool. Check that out and pick it up. So please check out my other videos on my channel. Like, subscribe, turn your bell notifications on, and we'll see you soon. Geek out.